and welcome to Meet Sean ONeill. Let's have a quick look at what he looks like. I'm going to introduce him in a moment. If you're joining us live, hello, please write in the chat room where you are, what your name is, and how are you this evening. And if you're watching a recording, you can't chat live, but please grab yourself a drink and sit back and watch for the next hour and a bit while we speak to Sean ONeill, entrepreneur, former snooker champ, an all-round amazing guy who's going to give you loads of tips in this time of COVID-19, working from home, the economy. How is it for you? How is your business? The economy is not in a good shape right now, and we are all on the edge of our seat, not knowing what we're going to do with our businesses. But Sean is going to answer some of those questions about resilience, how it is for you. So, but first of all, please do share with us, where are you? Say hello. Where are you? Where are you from this evening? Sean, first of all, let's just say hello to people. They're going to be tuning in now, saying where they're from.
Absolutely. Hopefully, my mom and dad has figured this out. So my mom and dad's there listening. That would be great. I know we've got Brett, some of my other business partners. I think Christiana is close by. My phone's been hopping. I've had to put it on silent. So there's quite a few people that are David, Matt, Ian.
Pam from APT Consulting Services. Fantastic.
Hi, Pam.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sarah and Joel and Mark. Thank you so much. And a lot of people are tuning in from Liverpool, but also all over the world. I know there's people tuning in from Spain, I think. I know there's going to be people, certainly you'll be watching this back. I've got people all over the world that are going to be watching this back. So this is an hour to share your thoughts, share your secrets. If you're watching a recording, listen to how people's businesses are going. So first of all, though, Sean, let's just talk about how we first met very, very quickly. You've been an entrepreneur and you've been a mentor to many of the people that you've worked with. We actually met through a mutual friend, didn't we? Was it last year in 2019, before COVID we met, and I came to see you in Liverpool, and what did you want to know from me, Sean?
So I guess like any of the opportunities that I've sought after, I knew that I inside have the ability and the skills, but I just didn't know how to bring them out. I wanted to learn how to public speak. I wanted to learn how to give my message to more than just one person at a time, or more than just around a dinner table, or more than in my office. But the thought of public speaking and the thought of speaking to more than 5 or 6 people was terrifying to me. Although I came across as quite a confident person, established, successful, outgoing, I knew that I really had to search for someone like you that could help bring me out and give me the confidence to show the inner skills that I have.
And the thing is with you, Sean, is that you have experienced success for most of your life. And we are going to be sharing how you built your business, a little bit about your snooker career, how you've been a success from the age of 11 and worked your way up. And also how to be, what do you do when you're successful, how to become a speaker, how to spread the word more to more entrepreneurs. So this is your opportunity, if you're watching now live, to ask Sean questions. We're going to be taking questions throughout the show, and we're also going to be, we'll have lots of time at the end to take lots of different questions about resilience, about your business, about whether you want to ask Sean specific questions about how you're surviving this time. But when I first met Sean, I just thought, I can't believe this guy. He's got the most incredible life story, and there's a lot of people's lives that he's touched, and we've got his team tonight. So we're going to be speaking to them a little bit later on. But let's just give a quick shout out to Sean's team. We've got Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Andrea Finnegan is Sean's right-hand woman of the moment, helping us set this up. We thought we wanted to do something to connect, because we were meant to be doing a live show in Liverpool. That is going to be coming up as soon as we're allowed to do events again, right? Absolutely. In fact, at the end, we'll decide if we're going to go virtual or go live in Liverpool later on in the year. But Andrea's been the most amazing right-hand woman. I mean, she is by Sean's side, helping him with all of his infrastructure. So thank you from me, Andrea. Brett, we're going to be speaking to you later. You're a business partner of Sean's. We'll put your mic up a little bit later. And he's running a property business, and he's going to talk about how he's coping with the current climate. And also Christiana's going to be joining us later, Sean's also helped. So we've got Sean's team around us at the moment. And a lot of you may have met Sean before or know him. But the main thing, the first thing we're going to do actually, is I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to launch our first poll while you're getting your questions in, okay? So the question for this hour really, as well as learning about Sean's life and learning about what he's learned and learning about his tips as well, is that we really want to talk about you and how resilient you are. We're going to be talking about resilience. How do you bounce back? How do you keep your business running? How do we learn from somebody like Sean who's so successful? I mean, I've run my own business. My background is broadcasting, and I've set up my own business as well. How resilient am I? Out of 10, that's the question. So I'm going to launch the first poll, and I'm going to tell you how resilient I am in a moment. So the first poll, if you can see it on your screens, is it working, Andrea? Give us a nod if you think it is.
It's working, yes.
Great.
Looks good.
So the first poll is, how resilient are you feeling now? Right now, how resilient are you feeling? And then give yourself a mark out of 10, where 1 is bad, obviously, 10 is amazing. I'm feeling really resilient, as in I'm up for this. I'm up for the fight. I am feeling resilient. So please put in your put your marks out of 10. Sean, you're not allowed because you might skew the figures.
Exactly.
Brett, I think you can. Have you put your mark in, Brett?
Brett has been.
Yeah.
Brett.
So please put in it. So
I tried to do one, Esther, but
so people are feeling not bad. 7. That's not bad at all, is it? Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Share the results. Are the results coming up?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so 34% saying they feel 7 out of 10 resilient. That's pretty good. And the second one is 8 out of 10. And then people are feeling pretty good at 10. Absolutely brilliant, because what we really want to be doing today is sharing some of our tips and what you're doing to keep your business up and running as well, and letting us know how it is for you. So let's indulge ourselves a little bit then. And I'm going to be, and please do, I've got some questions coming in now. We're going to take some questions in a few moments. But first of all, I'm going to indulge us in just a couple more pictures of Sean, because we are going to be talking about a bit about your background and your mum. I hope your mum is tuning in. I met your mum when I came to Liverpool. But also, that's my book. I've written a book, and when Sean's actually interviewed me about my book on his YouTube channel. Is it actually on YouTube, Sean?
Yes, we'll share all the YouTube information after.
Yeah, so at the end of this session, we're going to be talking about how to watch Sean's YouTube channel. Okay, so now we are up and running. We've had a few technical checks and everything, and now we're going to delve into Sean, a bit about his life and his background before we hit the questions. But Sean, tell us a little bit about how you became so successful at the beginning. You grew up on a farm, right?
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm, and I think one thing we all underestimate is we're learning all the time. So on the farm, I saw a lot of hardship, heard a lot of stories of how my ancestors struggled, how they were hungry all the time. Some of them died of malnourishment. Some of them had to go to America, never to be seen again. And it just scared the life out of me. And through all these stories, although I had great parents, amazing grandparents, I found that somehow this life that everyone before me has led sounded like torture. And I found that I needed to find another way. Being an only child also was difficult, but at the same time was another challenge. So through my teachings from my grandparents, from my mum, from my dad, through having to fend for myself quite young, I had some good times, some bad times. One thing that I really now appreciate more is the lessons that I learned through that journey. And I think most kids don't realize that. And each of us do have a story. I never really realized my story was that important, or that would catch the imagination of so many people, because it's just me. And I think everyone listening here tonight will say the same thing. It's just me. They don't think that their story is anything special. They think that someone in the distance that they've never seen before, or they see on TV, has a better story than them. And it's not always the case. I think that the messages that we all have growing up, all the struggles we all have, if we were more honest and didn't bury the difficult times. So it did take me into my teenage years to realize that everything my ancestors had done, everything my mom has done, everything my dad has done for me, was because they lived through difficult times. And in Northern Ireland, there was a war right up into my teenage years. So resilience was built into me, as I really believe most other people. It's how that I maybe fear more than anything not to be like everybody else, to find another way, pushed me a bit harder maybe than most. So
Sean, at the moment, we need more resilience now more than ever. People's businesses have been this time is having a massive impact on our business. How are you finding business and your resilience? Are you having to dig deep at the moment, or are you kind of set up to be okay?
Well, I think knowledge and experience overtakes anything. And if you were to ask me this question 10 years ago, I went from a very wealthy mid-20-year-old to losing everything in the 2008 crash, into minus millions, not bankrupt, minus. And what got me through that was the support from my mom, support from my dad, the support from my grandparents. But not that they knew I was going through it. I kept it to myself, but just that I know they were there for me. 10 years on, because I've experienced it, this time is a lot different. I stuck to my recipe for success in the difficult times. And one very fortunate thing is that I made sure that I wouldn't take on any debt. I promised that I learned a lesson in the last recession that debt can cripple you. It can be a very good thing at the right time, but it can also cripple you. So I stayed to my what I know, what I believe. And in recent years, I resisted a lot of temptation. And this past couple of months then there's been the good and there's been the difficult, the bad, because some of my businesses have gone to zero and other ones are doing quite well. But the most important thing is that my team, some of them you can see on the screen, but there's quite a few others behind that are listening now that don't want to be named or are happy to be in the shadows. We've stuck together. This past 2 months, all the stories that I've told them over the last recession has kind of appeared again. And I said, if you stick with me through the next few months and you listen to me, we're going to get through this and we're going to be bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And the property side of my business now is in an incredible place. Our reputation throughout the city of Liverpool is that we're the only property team that's working. Our tenants are so happy. We've adapted incredibly well. And the uncertainty that my team were experiencing 6-8 weeks ago, pressures from home, because obviously there's pressures from all sides. We've come out the other side, and I can see how tight we are now as a group. and I'm really, really looking forward to the coming months and years ahead. At the same time, I do need to have a bit of compassion, and I do need to understand that things are difficult, and I can't be too enthusiastic because because I know what to do. I have to realize that sometimes I have to listen a bit more than just give my opinion, because my opinion isn't always going to be the same for everyone else that's out there, because I have more experience of the downsides.
So there's lots of questions coming in, Sean, and a lot of the questions are about now. But before we go, thank you, Irene, for your question about property and interiors. We're going to go to that in a few minutes. I think what would be really nice before we go into the specific business questions about people's specific businesses, and thank you, by the way, Ray and Frank and Ian, about your business and about the recession and Sean's tips. Just before we get on to now and our individual businesses, let's just have a little tiny taster of how Sean built up his business from such a young age. So first of all, you started very young. I know that you were 11 years old when you started your first business, before you became a snooker champion, because that's where you kind of made a name for yourself and where you tasted success before even the age of 18. But just quickly tell us about when let's just quickly tell the story of the 11-year-old that started a business that was more successful than most adults I know.
Yes, again, this is a story of support. Very quickly, my dad took me to buy some fireworks one weekend, and the fireworks that I purchased cost me £10. It was my pocket money that he gave me. And I realized quickly that these fireworks were worth £20 because they were my dad's friend. I didn't understand retail wholesale at the time, but I knew that if you had friends, you can get things cheaper. As I was letting the fireworks off at home, I realized that my friends can't get these fireworks because it's not very easy to get. The only place you can get them is a Sunday market. Because I'm good with numbers, and my grandma had taught me so much about savings and how to buy and sell animals on the farm, I realized that quickly, if I was to gather some money together, how could I get some money together? Maybe I could get these fireworks to my friends. So I was afraid to tell my dad, afraid to tell my mom. I took my dad's £5 pocket money he gave me every week. I took my mom's £5, £1 a day dinner money, and I starved for 4 weeks. I didn't have any lunch, and as a child, having no break at 10 o'clock and no dinner, and you had to wait from morning to night to get home, I was starving. But the stories of my grandma telling me about my ancestors starving, I thought, well, I'm sure it can't be as bad as them.
There she is there.
There she is. And so 4 weeks later, I told my friends, which I think is the greatest line ever, I said, I'm going to have fireworks in school tomorrow. Bring your money, don't tell your parents. So I spent £1 on the bus because I had to go to my local town, left me £39. I bought £39 worth of fireworks, and 8:30 I arrived at school in the morning with a school bag full of fireworks, no books, and a pen in my top pocket. By 5 to 9, when the bell rang, I doubled my money. I'd made 100% profit within a half an hour. And that was a light bulb moment.
It was a firework. Fireworks went off in your brain. The reason why I wanted you to share that was because that's the kind of foundation to a lot of your tips about the business model, about suddenly realizing, hang on a minute, if I don't use them myself and sell them to my mates, I can make a profit here. And that's kind of shaped your whole life, hasn't it? But then you had a bit of a blip. Well, not a blip, but like this ridiculous success because you became a professional junior snooker player. Mm-hmm. And look at the success. I mean, obviously at 11, you had a spark and you had a flair, obviously a firework flair, but you had this flair for business and this flair for success. So did you find it a leap to go from little boy making all this money to successful snooker player, or was it like a natural progression for you?
Well, it started even younger, because on a Saturday, I'd spend every Saturday with my dad. And quite young, my dad bought me my first ever pool snooker table. Santa bought me it. And then we'd go to the pool hall. And because I was quite good at pool and my dad enjoyed that environment, he'd obviously support me. So we'd play pool for hours. Eventually, my dad bought a pub when I was 9 or 10. And being in the environment of adults at such a young age, and me being an only child, I then adapted the ability to be the underdog, deal with pressure, and I started playing for money in my dad's pub. I've got some great stories that I'll share on another time about how I walked out with pocketfuls of money. But I was learning the skills of being able to hold my nerve under pressure in an environment where there's people bigger, stronger, wiser, and me only being a kid. And that led through then into my businesses, where I was able to finance myself. I was able to hold my nerve. And eventually my dad then took me to a local snooker hall where they had a league on a Saturday morning. I turned up the first year and I won the whole league. And the story to success, I'm sure we'll go through later, but it led to a very successful snooker career on the back.
I have to look at this, Sean. We have to just look at that hair. You told me that I only just saw this the other day. You told me that you had this blonde mullet when you came to Liverpool.
Yes. And
you started your business career. Now, I know that right now people want to ask questions about business, and I wanted to set the scene about your success from 11, building your mini firework business, but there's a lot of lessons in that firework business, and then experiencing success at such a young age. So should we dive into the questions now? Because I think that your business success, more recent business success stories are now relevant to all the questions that have been coming in. So I'm going to start with Ray's, which is, in these uncertain times, do we think that we have to change our business models now? Because there's a challenging demands. People aren't allowed to go near each other still. I'm sure that will change over the coming months. But do you think we need to shift our sands? Do you think we need to shift the way that we're doing business now?
You always have to have one foot in the present and one foot in the future. If you look at 200 years ago, farming was the biggest industry in the world. Within 100 years, it went into manufacturing. And even as we sit here now, Zoom calls are one of the most profitable investments. So you have to, you literally have.
Did you invest in it, Sean?
No, I missed that one.
Damn!
I should have last year when you started working with me. But so just because we did something always the same way doesn't mean that that's the right way. We have to constantly innovate. We have to constantly question ourselves. We have to critique. What's something I've learned, instead of criticize, even I used to be my biggest critic. I used to criticize myself all the time.
Your biggest critic.
Critic, that's the word.
Yeah, that's okay.
I do find that sometimes I was too hard on myself, but the intentions behind that is because I know that I have to constantly adapt and constantly get better. In modern times, things are changing rapidly. And the only way that I can change so quickly with the times is, again, find a team of people that are experts and have huge knowledge that can bring the ideas to me. I think that it's not possible on your own to be successful for a long period of time without having people around you in some shape or form, whether you're business partners, colleagues, advisors, etc.
So I have another question here from Simon, which is on a similar kind of theme. Simon's saying that, we've got the new world of work now. And he's saying, do you think that they will continue to allow staff to work from home? And how do you think that line managers should manage this? Have you got any tips on, if we are now mainly working from home, how do you think people can manage?
Well, I think everything works like a pendulum. It goes one side too far and then they can go back to the other side. I think there's going to be a huge push to make people work from home, possibly from companies, because it's profitability in the short term. However, I believe there's no replacement of human interaction. no matter how well you can work from home, providing you've got a great place of work with great people around you, you will flourish better. You'll enjoy your time. It'll get you out of the house. This is the first time I've wore a shirt in 2 months because I've been casual. I've been training every day. I've had no need to dress up, and I actually feel great sitting here now. So I think there's a balance between definitely saving time and not being stuck in unnecessary traffic if you have long journeys to make, but also you can't lose that human interaction. It's something that's so important, and I think will be there forever.
Okay, so Mustafa's saying, how can you be agile during these tough times? Is there a key to being agile?
Well, most of it's, for me, in my mind, I guess if this is something that nobody's experienced before, the first time of anything hurts. First time you try to walk, ride a bike, the first time you try and learn a language, the uncertain times hurts you. There's no question about it. You must surround yourself with incredibly positive people. You must listen to podcasts or listen to people that have experience. I think you have to stay away from too much news or too much negativity. And then you will take all of the positivity that you can get, and you'll shape it into your own message. You have to have your own message and your own recipe for success. You can't simply just copy somebody else's.
Now we have another question from Matt. Thank you very much, Matt. And he's talking about finding experts to work with. I'm not sure whether you actually work with Matt, but I might bring Brett in here in a moment, and Christiana. I know Christiana's, we're not using her video, so her audio is working better. I think we might bring Brett in a moment, because you've got many people that you work with. One of you at the secrets to your success, and it might answer some of the questions as to how to be more agile now, how to cope with the world of work now, is bringing in experts, finding the experts. But that is easier said than done. I'm with you, Matt. How do you find all these great people to partner with and to work with in order to build all these businesses? Because your secret sauce is to multiply your businesses and have more than one business, or have business partners that you're supporting. So how did you find Brett, for example? Should we bring Brett in and listen to the story of Brett's one example of how you've been agile, how you've...
Well, I'll tell you the answer to this, and then we bring Brett in, because it'll be a nice follow on.
Yeah.
Believe me, if there's, for example, 100 people watching this now, I have probably made more mistakes than all of you. I have, but the difference is that...
Give me an example, come on.
I lost everything I lost everything and more in the last recession.
Why? Can I just quickly ask you, when you say I lost everything, how and why did you lose it?
Actually, the property market crashed and I had personal guarantees. So any losses, my business had to close. And it was a domino effect on property prices, on income. It was a catastrophe. That's the short story.
So the big mistake there was to have your own personal guarantees.
The one big mistake that I made so many...
That's $1 million, multi-million-dollar mistake.
Never personal guarantee. Your life's more important. That's my lesson. And then I've worked with people, and no matter how much we talking is great, but theory is great, but action is better. We've started working together. There's been differences. There's been times where I've invested in people. They didn't deliver how I thought they would deliver. I'm being very nice here about how I explain it. But ultimately, there's been lots of times I've invested money in people or opportunities, and it just hasn't worked. But it's never stopped me, because I have belief that I will learn. When I make a mistake, I will learn from that mistake. The mistake doesn't hurt me, because I've never met a rich person that hasn't lost money. My elders that I'm very fortunate to have a group of elders between 50 and 70, some of the most successful people in England. The stories they've got is equally as incredible about recessions and bankruptcies and losses, and people, you just have to not be afraid to lose, because fear will paralyze you.
So before we speak to you, Brett, I can see you're waiting. Get ready to unmute your mic, by the way. Simon just says here, I totally agree with Sean. Some people are just not behaviorally, I love that, behaviorally set up to work independently. I agree with you, Simon. Sometimes you need to have people around you, but
Right.
how does that work, and how do you find the right people? They've got to be the right people. Clearly, Sean has made a few mistakes on the way and not found the right people. So let's bring Brett in, and please keep asking questions. You can use the Q&A box, or you can use the chat box. I'm checking both now. I've got them both up on my screen. So please do, or tell us a tip that you might have that you might want to share with Sean. And we will be talking a little bit about your own businesses as well. So please keep your comments and your questions coming in. I don't mind comments. You don't have to have a question, but we really do want to pick Sean's brains here, and this is your chance to find out. So please do use either the Q&A, you can do it anonymously if you like on that, or use the chat box. So let's hear from Brett then. So Brett, now let me just say, Brett is you're the founder of you tell us, Brett.
Sorry, I was just, hello Esther, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Hello, I'm good, and we spoke earlier, didn't we?
We did indeed, yes. Sean, good to see you. And Andrea, I think, is here as well. So yeah, I think, well, first of all, hello everybody, and pleasure to be joining you on the call. My name is Brett Bidge. I'm the Managing Director of Now Rooms Liverpool, and I've just been slightly distracted because I've ironically just had a phone call at the exact same time I'm trying to come on, but apologies.
That's okay. We can't see them or hear them.
Oh, that's all right. So I've been working with Sean for coming on. It'll be almost 12 months in the matter of weeks, and I think just sort of following on from the previous conversation about finding the right people. I think my 2 cents on the question is that it's definitely a numbers game. And that's whether it's business partners, clients, colleagues, staff, friends, a partner in life, whatever it is, it's a numbers game. You don't go out and walk down the street and meet the first person thinking it's going to be a life-changing business partner. It just doesn't happen like that. And often, first impressions can be great, but they're not always the true lasting impression. So I think getting to know people and having the ability to be able to spot an opportunity or spot a relationship or a partnership or something, whatever it is, having the ability to spot the value and execute on the value is a huge skill that I've learned to develop in business, and particularly working with Sean, something Sean does very well.
So Brett, please do share with us. Please share with us the magic coffee. We spoke earlier about some of the pearls of wisdom that Sean taught you, which are relevant right now. And you said that there was one time you went for a coffee, and then we didn't have a chance to quite finish that story because I had to go on another call. So can you just remind us of that story now?
Yeah, indeed. So I think, I'm sat here with a notepad and pen, and I always am with Sean because there's always something to be learned. And I think the coffee conversation that you're talking about, I'm not even sure if Sean remembers this, but we had a conversation at, it was a bar or a restaurant or a coffee shop somewhere over a coffee, I think it was. And this is going back earlier when we started working together, and I was a little bit stressed or overwhelmed, I think, at the time. So for those who don't know, Sean and I came together. Sean invested into a business that I had at Now Rooms Liverpool. That was officially since 10th of June last year. And for the first 6 months, probably of the previous 12 months, for the first 6 months, we were very busy restructuring the business and refining how we do things. And then, so a 6 months initial phase of restructuring through to sort of growth. And it's been a phenomenal 12 months for me personally and for the business. And one of the earlier conversations Sean had with me was, he basically said bluntly, like, stop fucking worrying about everything. I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to swear, but that's more or less.
Okay, we can beep it afterwards.
And because I was overwhelmed at the time, I felt like I had so much on, and kind of felt like I was a little bit stressed. And Sean, with his guidance and his experience, kind of just said with a very calm voice, just stop worrying about it. Like, just write down all the things you're worrying about. And Sean went on and explained to me that he had a similar sort of conversation with one of his elders earlier in his career, and he wrote down all the things he was worried about. And then sure enough, I wrote them down, and as we went through these what I thought were worries and things to stress about, which I think is a perfect question given the current climate now with the everything that's going on, is that as I was writing the worries down and crossing them off as they did not happen. That was the instruction from Sean, right? Cross them off as they don't happen, cross them off, and you'll be surprised. 1, 2, 3, and then all of a sudden I've got a list of crossed out items that I was worried about. None of them ever happened. And I think that was Sean's composure. Was obviously that's only built through experience and having been there and done it, which Sean's just alluded to a little bit there with the 2008 recession. But I think having the experience of been there and done it, certainly
and
brought a
been
level
through
of composure.
worries. Been through in the past. Thank you so much for that, Brett. That's really interesting, and I love that kind of what if list. What if that happens? What if that happens? What if that? And I'm often helping people with public speaking, and obviously people are very, very, very worried about a lot of things when it comes to public speaking or being on camera, and all the tips are quite relevant. Although that's something that Sean doesn't suffer from. He doesn't suffer from glossophobia, the name of my book. Which is the fear of public speaking, because Sean is unbelievably good at focusing his energy.
Focusing on what you can control.
Yeah. I quite often say to clients that are worried about things like public speaking or about starting a business or doing something different in business, I quite often say, look, we're going to turn worry into strategy. So put all your worries on the left-hand side, and all we're going to do is talk, let them out, which is a good idea, Sean. Write them all down. The what ifs, what if it all fails, what if I fail? And then let's just make a strategy so you don't what if ... I think that's brilliant. And also we were laughing earlier, Sean, Brett and I, about the fact that you just never worry. You never worry about anything.
Well, there's a very simple story why I don't worry. All of you know I talk about my grandmother on a daily basis. I have bored people to tears about talking about my grandmother because she's been the biggest inspiration in my life. And there's a point in everyone's life when you ask a question, and that question, when you get the answer, does change. It could be the same question 50 times to 50 people, but when you get that answer that one time, it sticks with you forever. And I remember I asked my nan a question. Unfortunately, she lost her son when my uncle was 7, and so she went through a really tough time of the deaths of her parents, her sisters, her brothers, and eventually her son. And she had a very difficult life. And I asked her a really difficult question one day. I says, "What would you do if I died?" Because I was her golden boy. And we were having breakfast that morning, and she said to me, "Don't say that. But if you did, I spent my life worrying about things and it never got me anywhere." She goes, "I have these papers to read. I have the animals to feed. I have to look after myself." She goes, I am not going to worry about a single thing the rest of my life." So I was shocked. So I get up and I give her a slap on the side of the bum, and we started laughing. And I drove to work that day. And that was in the summer of 2006. My nan was healthy. Everything was great. My mom is my best friend. My dad's my best friend. Life couldn't have got any better. Within 12 months, she passed away. But that helped me. That sentence, that comment was so powerful that I use that to every single person that knows me. You'll hear the fact that I repeat that the things you worry about very, very rarely happen. And if they do, they're usually not as bad as you ever thought they would be.
Sometimes your imagination is more powerful than the act itself. It's more worrying to think about what might happen rather than the reality as well. And I love that I've learned something from your nan. The last time you talked about it to me, my favorite one-liner was, "God gave everyone enough time." Is that from your nan?
Yeah, exactly. And time is.
What do you mean you've run out of time? God gave everyone enough time.
She did, yeah. God did. She just said that we waste our time. And on time. And I really hope a lot of people appreciate the time they have now, because we're talking about resilience and the current climate, but we say things, but sometimes we don't really believe them. But time is our greatest asset. And a lot of us this past couple of months have had a lot of time. And if we don't use this time wisely, it'll be probably one of the biggest mistakes any of us will have made.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking to Christiana and somebody else who's on a panelist today. She's going to be joining us in a moment. And also some specific industries. People have got questions about themselves and their businesses and what they can do with their time. I just wanted to put this question to you from Ian, who I thanks Ian, you emailed me earlier. It's about as a professional sportsman, do you believe that your experience of high pressure and your competitive environments has helped you in business?
Definitely. The more pressure. I've just read a book recently by David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me. He's quite famous now, an ex-Marine. And if you put yourself in a position of pressure and you practice being in that position, then positions do become the norm. The difference between sport and business is completely different. But I think that within the sporting environment, within my family environment, and I've always put myself in the uncomfortable place. I have been uncomfortable most of my life, but it turns out being a comfortable place for me, where if I was to sit and agree with everyone or feel like I was part of the masses, I sometimes think there's something wrong. So I kind of search at times to continue my search for the pressure situation, because I believe that's the place that will help you grow and develop. And when I did finish my snooker career, I had a huge void, Ian. So you're right. I had a huge void in my life where the competition side was lost. I really had no idea what to do in my life. I knew that I was good with numbers. I knew financially I could make it work. I just didn't know. But very good question. And I think that anyone that wants the easy, comfortable life and no pressure, they shouldn't expect to get too much back.
Okay, so I've got you're going to have to fire through this, because we've got lots of questions coming in now about the beauty industry and lots of different quick fire rounds. So
I look like I understand the beauty industry.
I don't know, but we're going to talk to Christiana. Actually, I'm going to bring her in as well, because she's in interiors. Not that it's not really so much industry specific. It's more general tips that probably apply to all industries. Thank you very much, Sarah Brown, with your tip. She said a really good tip is have more than one income stream. Yeah, absolutely, good idea. Okay, a quick question from Frank. Let's see if you can do this super fast now. So Frank said, he's saying, if you're starting a business from scratch, which some of us might be starting a new type of business now, let's face it, what are the 5 most important things to get in place, and what are the 5 pitfalls? Well, you don't have to do 5, but let's do 3. Let's do 3 most important things and 3 pitfalls.
The most important thing is,
maybe you're pivoting your business. That's a good.
The most important thing is you have to hire me as your coach or business, or have me as your business partner. Second thing is you need to really understand why you're doing it. And are you the type of person that should be the leader, not the boss? Never be the boss. You have to be the leader. Will you have time to bring through the team around you? Because you don't have to have your own company. You can be part of a corporation. You can be part of a huge company and also be successful. So you really need to know deep down why you're doing it. Because if it's ego sometimes, or if it's just because they want to do something, it can backfire.
I'm making notes here. So
and
tip
probably
1, Sean. Tip 2, what's the why?
Just the last one on that is you need to also, I believe, you have to do something that you do enjoy to a degree. You can't start something because you think there's money in it. Money doesn't give happiness in the long term. and eventually you could resent what you're doing, as so many people out there will confirm.
And maybe we'll come back to the pitfalls later. I'm going to bring Christiana in here because Christiana's worked with you before. She works in interiors. Christiana, are you still? Have you got your?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hi.
You got your broadband working?
I'm very good. Yes.
Is there a chance Christiana could try her video as well?
We could try the video and see if we can get if it works together.
Audio. We can let her know and go back to audio if the video doesn't work.
At least for everyone to see me. Hello.
Oh, lovely. Oh, I like your top. Look, we're wearing.
Yeah, I see you very nicely, so I quickly changed my t-shirt. I'll be very honest. So yeah,
we're in the design industry, and somebody else is asking about the beauty industry as well. So, Christiana, let's talk about these 3 tips that Sean's given. He's also talked about finding stars, business experts and superstars, and you are one of his superstars, and you are too, Brett.
I hope I am. Yes. So firstly,
the 3 things is get Sean, know why you want to do it, and also you got to enjoy it. Does that tick all the boxes for? Does that?
100%, especially the last one. So my name is Christiana, for those who don't know me, and I actually work into this industry of beauty. So it's not interior. I'm doing wedding dresses, and we're doing tailoring. So I used to know Sean for a long time, for almost 5 years, as I used to do lots of tailoring for him. So I made sure he looks very handsome while having meetings. Mm-hmm. So our journey started just over 1 year ago when I was running my company, Dressology. So I was crazy enough just to leave my job that I had for 6 years and just start this wedding dresses business. But I had no knowledge of what the business means. So I had the passion, I had everything, but I didn't have all the knowledge I needed to have. So after just 6 months, I was really struggling. And I found myself in the position of having to find a part-time job to be able to sustain financially myself and the business. So while having a lunch, lunch can be changing your life. Sean found out about my plan of kind of lifting my eyes from the ball, from the Dressology, and obviously trying to find a job. And then he saw the potential in me and my passion and my hard-working attitude. And he said, no way you're going to leave your shop to go and work somewhere else to be able to sustain your shop. So then this is how it started. We basically gone into all this conversation and started a business together. And then we went back to where I used to work and bought that business too. So for those who don't know, Stitches is very good business in Liverpool, and we have lots of people obviously using our services. So he saw the potential in me, and he saved me from ruining what I was working for already. We have a great relationship.
That's a great story.
Yeah, to be honest, I was struggling more 1 year ago than I am now, which is crazy because now everyone is struggling, and I don't find struggling so much just because I have this positive attitude that somehow Sean taught me how to have. And I always try to look further. So now I'm closed. I have no customers, no contact whatsoever, but I'm trying to see what's next. So I'm working on designs. I'm finding new ways of working with people.
And maybe working online, you could doing an online service.
Yes, so I did lots of online wedding fairs.
Online.
Oh yeah. I actually did Zoom services, like sessions with brides to be, showing them wedding dresses, explaining them stuff.
They could be measuring themselves here while you're supervising.
Pretty much, yes.
I have a friend who's a stylist who helps people on Zoom style their wardrobe, and she's doing it all on Zoom now. So just quickly, let's answer Veronica's question, because she said it's a very general question, but maybe we could all put our heads together, including you, Brett, all of us together. Maybe you can put in the chat box. Veronica's question is, what advice would you give the beauty industry, and how do you think it will affect immediate sales? So the beauty industry is, well, as you can see, I've done my own nails. Which is
could I answer that first?
Yeah, let's see. Anyone's got any? If anyone wants to comment to Veronica, please do.
I've got a very good friend, Matt, who posted a question before. He owns the Jersey Beauty Company, and he's got a very successful online business, and it's gone through the roof in recent times. A few reasons for that. He has told all of his followers and me about the difficult times, about getting his strategy correct, about how getting his delivery correct, the back of house, how to get his marketing correct. And he's developed that over years. And now he's in the perfect time. But he, like me, has had lots of hiccups along the way, lots of corrections needed. And as the Jersey Beauty Company, if you want to all check it out, is doing very well in this market. I don't know if the lady is
Veronica.
Veronica is online with her at the moment, but definitely if she wants to further advice on how Matt is doing it, or some advice, I'm sure Matt or myself could give some follow-up advice, because there's not a very simple answer. There's property people going bankrupt as we speak, and there's property people making money as we speak. It's a very broad question, and I think it's in the finer detail. But sorry, over to Christiana, because
Christiana, we'd love to know some of your idea for Veronica, just any ideas. And by the way, at this point, if you do want to contact Sean, he has a brand new email address, which is Andrea, have you got the Sean's email handy to hold up? It's in. Go on then. Say it in your best voice. Look at her beautiful orange background and your best voice. Let's hear Sean's email.
info@meetseano'neill.com.
And one more time, please, Andrea. You're really good at this.
info@meetseano'neill.com.
info@meetseano'neill.com. Excellent. So if you want to email Sean, we've actually got a competition coming up before the end of this session, before the end of the show. But info@meetseano'neill.com. If you want to ask specific questions, or Veronica, if you want to find out more about the Jersey Beauty Company. But also, Veronica, I think we're going to have a few people with a few little ideas for you. So, and if you want to speak, you can show your hand. Joel, if you're still there, I'm going to let you talk in a moment. So get ready. I'm going to unmute you, because you very cleverly raised your hand. If you can figure out how to raise your hand, I think you have to go on you have to click on participants, and then I think next to your name you can raise your hand. Oh, David, I'm going to get you in as well in a minute. Hang on a second. So first of all, Christiana, though, what's your quick tip for Veronica while she's here live?
I mean, the question is not extremely clear for me, because the big difference is, do we look at services or do we look at products? Because it's easier to sell products, while services is harder because we can't have the interaction.
Yes.
But I'm guessing there's always a way to find that, creating an interaction, even if it's online. As I said, I've been doing wedding fairs online, which generally you don't do that. I've been doing Zoom online, which I would never consider myself having a bride to be, seeing her online and measuring her online and so on. So I think there is always a way of adapting yourself, as long as you want to do that. But I'm happy to, if I would know some more information from Veronica, I would love to help. So she can always, search for Dressology by Christiana, give me a message there, and I'll be happy to help. If you
email Sean, info@meetseano'neill.com, then Sean and Andrea can easily put you in touch with Veronica as well. So that's why we're doing this show, is so you can meet Sean, and some of you may want to actually get advice from him, help from him. Ask him to be your business partner if needs be, because you might be pivoting your business as we speak. So Joel, I think I've unmuted you. Are you still there?
I am here.
Hello, Joel. Oh, what a lovely, clear voice. Welcome to the show, Joel. Lovely to hear from you. And fire away. What would you like to ask Sean?
I'd like to ask Sean where he gets his mindset from. I appreciate that he's been through a lot, and experience gives him the resilience he's now got. But does that necessarily create the right mindset? I think they're different.
That's a good question. So what about your mindset? What's your response to that, Sean?
So it's definitely a combination of what my mom and dad have taught me when it comes to respect and how to deal with others. It's definitely, in recent years, the group of people that I surround myself, some of them I have been my elders. I keep calling my elders because some of them don't want their names mentioned, but very successful people that have been financially in the ups and downs, and my mentors. They are my business partners. And then I surround myself sometimes with, I love now surrounding myself with younger people. I love being around the likes of people now I can start to teach my skills, my work ethic, my thinking, because a lot of the time, even speaking to you today, I'm making notes about things that maybe I've forgotten about. We forget more than we actually remember. So if you think about the years that we are doing things, and we forget so much. So I think it's very important that you have you don't be like one person. You be like a collective of people that have different outlooks on life, and you kind of pinch a little idea from every single person. My financial literacy definitely came from my grandmother. She used to sit with my savings book when I was, my post office savings book when I was 4, 5, 6, 7, and show me the interest that I used to get. So my financial literacy and the ability to count is definitely my grandmother.
Let me hear from Joel for a moment then. So Joel, what would you say your mindset is? Do you have a tip for getting yourself in the right mindset?
Well, Sean and I know each other quite well, and Sean knows I'm a big fan of quite a few different wellness therapies, in particular breathing education, and it's something I help other businesses learn and adopt as part of their practice. So it's amazing how much the way you breathe through any one day affects your mindset. So in addition to the experience I've generated over many years, and similarly mixing with people like Sean who've got some amazing emotional intelligence, or EQ as they call it, combine that with a toolkit around breathing education, and then I seem to have found the answer. And I don't actually see it so much as resilience, I just see it more as a way of life.
I love that, Joel. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Guys, just so you know, I did.
You might just take a breath.
I did a course with Joel. Joel, believe me, I'm doing my best to sit up straight and do my belly breathing at this moment.
Very good.
Joel, would you like us all to take a breath right now? Should we all just, for Joel, take a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth?
Am I allowed to say that you should never breathe through your mouth?
Oh, because I did it. Was that right then? I did in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Oh, you've opened the can of worms now.
Yeah.
Did I do that right though, Joel?
Can I just say one thing, right? And I won't say anything more about it. Breathe as often through your mouth as you eat through your nose.
Thank you, Joel. That is enlightening. And I'm really pleased to say that Veronica actually is available to speak to us now. Are you there, Veronica, with your mic up? So, Christiana, you can put your mic up as well if you like. Are you there, Veronica?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, how great to hear from you. So we were talking about you.
Hi.
And please, and everyone, we're all in this together. So we'd like everyone to join in. And if you've got any ideas for Veronica, please fire away. And Simon and Stuart, I'd really like to come to you after Veronica, so don't go away.
Sorry, I didn't know it was Veronica, my friend. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, Sean. You see me okay?
I don't. I can't see your video. Put it on. Veronica's got a beautiful face, so we may as well have a look at her if we can.
Oh no, she can't put her video on because we're on in a different format. I can't get more than a few people on.
Oh, Veronica, I know where the question's coming from now. Veronica is an extremely successful beautician with several businesses in Belfast. She's been successful for many years and is a very good businesswoman. So I think you can answer some of those questions yourself as well, Veronica.
Well, first of all, yeah, I should have maybe made the question slightly clearer. I was talking more from the point of treatments as opposed to retail sales. 95% of my business would be treatments.
Hi, Veronica. Oh no, I promoted her to a panelist.
She'll come back in a minute.
That didn't I promoted her to panelist and then I cut her off. Sorry about that, Veronica. She's still there, but I thought I promoted her so we could see her.
Is that me back? Hi.
That's you.
Ah, there we go. Beautiful, hi. Veronica. There we go. So we just missed the last couple of words because I promoted you to panelist. I should have said I was doing it, but you were in mid-flow. So please do just go back a couple of seconds.
Okay. Well, basically what I was trying to say was that the majority of my business, 95% probably would have been retail, or sorry, treatment business, 5% would have been retail. But obviously since the lockdown, we don't have any hands-on treatment anymore. So I'm doing zilch in the salon. Now what I have done is I've turned things around a little bit and focused more on the retail side. Which has been great. Not as much financial turnover, obviously, as the retail, the treatment side did, but it's sort of given me a wee bit of leeway in the meantime till things open up again. But my question really was, obviously, we're very much a hands-on business. So anybody in this industry is going to say nobody's really been in this position before, where the recession has changed things, you know, as to how we touch, etc. You know, the recessions before were more financial. But I'm wondering, I do have a lot of things in place, PPE wise, etc. But I'm wondering, like, with the full of, you know, the whole economy, how do you think it's going to affect? Will people have the money to spend on beauty treatments? Obviously, females tend to have purse strings and let their own self go first before family.
Veronica, I know, because I know you, I can answer this very clearly to you. And I'll just go back to what happened in the last recession with me. In the last recession, although I was in financial turmoil, I picked up the phone. I kept the personal touch. Everyone that I was involved with, whether they were a client, whether they're my staff, whether my friends, nobody knew how good or bad it was. You have an amazing personal touch with all your clientele, and your clientele will stick with you in the long run. Now, the short term, that may be slightly difficult, but I know for a fact that as long as you keep in touch with people, you ask how they're doing, you give them some advice over the phone, you maybe give them like maybe some small videos or some tutorials where you can give to your clients, or you can bespoke them for each individual person. When this all blows over, which I believe still will still be some time away, I think that the other side of this is you will end up being bigger, better, and stronger because you actually care. Now, that won't go to everyone, because some people don't care. They care about the here and now, but the conversations we've had in years before, you do care about every individual customer. You know their name. The most important thing is that you pick up the phone and you speak to that customer. And you show how much you care, because in times like this is where people vanish, and if you stay in there, you'll end up being bigger and better, as I have done. And I think we had this very conversation with Brett recently, that it's very important to you have a message, and your message has always been clear. You care about your business, you love your business, and you love your customers. That doesn't change because you're sitting at home. That is even more powerful a message now. And you're someone that could never change your message because it's natural.
So I have a suggestion here from David Burgess. He said you could do online courses as well. There's loads of things you can do online with beauty. That I think this is really a good message for all of us. It's about being able to switch, to pivot your business. I had a question earlier actually from Simon about people reevaluating their career or reevaluating their choices because of the lockdown. What advice do you have? And again, if you want to raise your hand, I can put your mic up. Actually, we have David Burgess here. Shall I let him? I'm going to let him talk. Hello, David. How are you?
Hi guys, you okay?
Oh, good to see you. Can you get close to the microphone, speak nice and loudly.
Yeah, so I'll put my Bluetooth headphones on. You'll probably be able to hear me better than one second.
Gosh, we've got a tech person here. I should have had you at the beginning. As you know, I'm not that tech. I'm a little bit. Can
you hear me now better? Is that better?
That's brilliant, David. Well done. So let's start wrapping this up. We've got 10 more minutes until the end of the show. We are going to be doing a competition. That will take a minute or so. So please, this is your chance. This is all.
It'll only be 2 seconds. I know Sean, and Sean's like mentored me quite often. But this was for Veronica, because I'm a professional magician. So similar to yourself, all my gigs have now gone to 2021.
Similar to me?
No, to Veronica. Yeah, because
I thought you meant similar to me. Well, yeah.
Because all my gigs involve me actually doing tricks to an audience. So obviously all my weddings and all the venues are closed. So I've had to go online. So I've set up a magic school teaching tricks online.
Me too. You set up a magic school?
Yeah, but with Veronica, what I was thinking is if she could, with her existing customers, if she could obviously heighten the retail side of things, but then maybe do like a personalized video to them, and you can upsell things like, oh, this is how you apply this particular treatment, or this is how you do this, and here's a tailored video. That would be my advice to it, and then that might increase the actual retail products for her, as she can't physically get hands-on with clients.
Excellent. Thank you. That is an excellent call. Thank you, David. And please, we will share, if you email me, everyone's got my email because you've got the Zoom link from my email, because I set this up and I did technically manage that. If you want to email me, I will forward all of your questions, and I'll share links with you as well. But remember, Sean's email is info@meetshaunoneill.com, info@meetshaunoneill, all one word, .com. And if you want to, we'll share your link, and please share a video with us, David. And before we talk about Sean's YouTube video and the competition that's coming up, I wanted to get Simon on. I'm going to allow you to talk now, Simon. I'm going to unmute you. Simon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for joining us. This is great, isn't it?
It's fantastic. Yeah.
It's like a radio show. We're
absolutely.
About to go, and the trouble is, if we put too many videos on, it will start going. So it's quite good to hear the audio of you, and we can imagine how beautiful you look.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Sean will tell you that. I wouldn't go that far.
Simon, thank you so much for your comments and your messages today. I can see that you've been talking about resilience and stress tolerance, but you've also asked a few questions as well. What did you want to add to the discussion today with Sean?
No, I think Sean and I met, what was about 6 months ago, Sean, would you say?
Yes.
And we've met a number of times. We've had some really interesting conversations. I think for me, I think my business as a business psychologist, I spend a lot of time coaching and mentoring and working with individuals and companies, helping them truly understand what good looks like. But I think the challenge that I've been facing is having to do that remotely, because a lot of what I do is chemistry based. It's about getting to know people and really interacting with individuals, and then having to do that through the stability of video chat. I've been finding really difficult. I mean, I don't know if you've got any tips for Esther, for me for that, because obviously this is your media. It'd be nice to get from you and Sean any tips around that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your question. I can give you a few really quick tips. I will be honest with you, I'm not a natural, I don't love being on camera naturally. I mean, you look at me, you think, oh, former BBC producer, worked in broadcasting for 20 years. But actually, I have gone out of my comfort zone like Sean. I've really pushed myself out of my comfort zone to learn the tips that I've been teaching people for 20 years. So I set my business up also to help professionals and to help people in business and in corporates and people that aren't naturally used to being in the spotlight on a stage or on camera. And I've had to push myself, but as Sean said earlier, it's about going out of your comfort zone, and then it becomes normal. The more you do it, the more it becomes normal. All I can say is this: if you want to make a business work, and it's what Sean said before, if you really want it and you enjoy it and you know you're right for it, you've just got to do it. You've got to get out there, and you've just got to go put the Zoom thing on. Like even today, you know, I'm not technically the most slick person in the world, and I'm not used to quite this format, doing the webinar format. However, I've done it before. It's becoming normal to me. I could improve, absolutely. However, this is a way to connect with people. This is what I do now. I do virtual events, I host events, I do co-hosting. I'm quite often, my clients set up all the tech stuff and then they get me to come and host it or to be a guest. I never would have done that before.
I think a lot of our questions are based around us fearful of losing our income in the coming months and year or two ahead. But the very important thing is that I've got a 50-year plan. I've told some people about my 50-year plan. I have a 10-year plan, I've got a 5-year plan, and I've got a 1-year plan. My 1-year plan is out the window, but my plans supersede each other. So my 50-year plan will supersede anything I have in the short term. You have to now lay the building blocks, stick true to your formula, and add additions like Zoom call, additions like adapting to what is, because nothing will be the same forever. And your income streams will flood back in, and possibly bigger and better than ever before. Just because something was how it was before and then it's dipped, doesn't mean it won't be better. And ultimately, things will, it's like a pendulum. It goes one side or the other. It's like a ripple effect. You'll go down, but you'll come back up the other side. I know Simon very well. We've had lots of conversations. I've agreed with almost everything he said because he's a very positive person. He then needs to do exactly the same as Veronica. And I think there's a theme here that the people I'm speaking to are the people I've connected to for a long period of time, and I have extreme positivity in their message as well.
So let's do a competition, shall we, Sean? Let's do a competition. This is we're coming into the last few minutes, but this is your chance. Sean has helped many people set up businesses. He mentors them. You've got different sectors actually, Sean. You've from fashion to property to different types of people that you work with all the time. But you're really up for helping people here. So this is your chance to work with Sean. So what's the competition, Sean? What's your video? Tell me, talk us through it.
So recently I worked with Soap Media, Ian. I hope he's listening. He's a great guy.
You'll be watching the recording, definitely.
And I've just launched my YouTube channel. I've done an 11-minute pilot for a documentary that has had some really positive feedback and gives a bit of a summary of what I'm about. I'd like you all to watch this video. It's only 11 minutes of your time. The best 5 questions or the best 5 comments, I'm going to offer an hour of my time. So 11 minutes of your time followed by a few comments or questions. I'm going to offer an hour of my time to 5 people and try and help you put yourself back on track, or even in a better position than you already are. Feel free to share the video. Feel free to ask even other questions about the people that you've heard from today. And you can feel free to ask me anything, but genuinely, I get such a great buzz out of helping people. And it's why there's so many people have logged on today. And
what's the link?
So I think Esther will.
I'm going to send you. We're going to send you the link after this. But if you Google Meet Sean ONeill YouTube, does it come up? If you Google it,
we have several videos, but the most recent one is my pilot. So I think even if the Q&A.
I think actually, could you put it in the chat box, Andrea?
Yeah, I'll do that now.
What we're going to do is we're going to put it in the chat box for you, so you could cut and paste that. And also I will cut and paste it and send it to you personally.
To summarize, I'm looking to connect with great people, invest in great people, and make open other businesses in different sectors, or even maybe learn from you. There's one thing I learned very quickly, is that every single person you meet out there has an expertise of something that is better than you. So you can never finish learning. And
so if I could just get Andrea to with your best voice, Andrea, if you could just share Sean's email again, because Sean is looking for people to help, to mentor, to possibly invest with. You might have a question for him. This is his email. Go on, Andrea.
info@meetseanoneill.com. So if anyone's got any questions about business in general, if they want mentoring, advice and investments, anything at all, send any questions to that email address, please.
I've got to say, thank you, Sean. You've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Christiana. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Simon, David, Mustafa, Joel, all the people all of you. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. We've really, really enjoyed it, and brilliant questions. And please stay safe, stay well, and keep being positive. And the last word goes to you, Sean, before we say goodbye.
Just enjoy the moment, because your time is the most precious thing you have. And just actually leave this chat and think of how grateful we all are, because there's so many people out there that aren't so lucky as we are. And gratitude, if not just resilience, gratitude is a huge part of you getting through and succeeding.